We started the year with trends for 2025.
We do a lot of different stuff, a lot of crazy stuff too.
There's a lot of specialized products that we talked about in 2025. It'll be interesting to see how those trends change in 2026. Welcome to the Luxury Outdoor Living Podcast with Mike
and Trey
Farley of Farley Pool Designs. Let's build your paradise. Good afternoon. This is Mike Farley with Farley Pool Designs, and we've got another awesome episode of the Luxury Outdoor Living Podcast. I'm here with my co-host,
Trey Farley,
and we'll dive right into things.
Yep.
So one of the things this year is we wanted to have better direction. So to kind of give people some steps and processes on how to go. And so this is going to be your index guide for 2025 on all the episodes that we've done.
Yeah.
And probably the most important thing that we did in 2025 is we actually came in and had the 5-step process of how to get your yard figured out for you. Mm-hmm. Now, given that it's an outdoor living design podcast, some people aren't going to go through all the processes because they don't need all those steps. But we'll kind of jump in, and we started with episode 86, and that was this first step of the whole process. And basically, that was coming up with the dream.
I made a little list that we pretty much goes over a lot of the big different possibilities in people's dreams. Do you want me to run through that just so people know what's possible?
Oh, everything's possible, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sure that's not a short list.
So we have pool types. Obviously, you have standard pool, you have your spa, you have a cold plunge, recreational pool, lap pool, diving pool, fast lane, swim current to simulate the lap pool, lazy river, spools, splash pad, saltwater pool, or chlorine pool, or ozone pool. We've gone in detail on all these different things and different podcasts. A heated pool, if you have a spa that's built in, it's going to have that. Or maybe always heated spa, in-ground pool kits, like the pool ins that we covered. Then you have, different styles of pool, like negative edge, infinity edge, knife edge pool. You have acrylic walls, you have movable floors, you have beach entries and tanning ledges.
I tell people when I sit down with them, listen, you've got a shopping list of things that you want here. So let's talk about them all and the pros and cons of those things that you're going to consider.
Yeah, I think the episode's really good because a lot of people, when they're going through this process of thinking about, expanding their living space to the outdoors, whether that be in a pool or outdoor living area, a kitchen, whatever it might be, a lot of times is we're dealing with couples and their dreams could vary from, just direction in general, from flow, from materials. There's a lot of different ways that you can have that contrast with your partner. And that episode is really good at just kind of realizing what your dream is and being able to come together and figure out, having a good compromise.
Yeah, and then be able to sit down and explain it to a designer, because that's the hardest thing. And one of the things we do in our process is we ask lots of questions.
Yes.
And so we gave you lots of questions on that episode to kind of put yourself through so you could come up with the answers, so you could have some idea of how to explain what's in your head. Because that's the hardest thing, is a good designer is trying to understand what's in there. And a lot of times people can't even, they don't even know how to start to explain it.
Well, they usually will find pictures and I like this, but it's you don't like the whole thing. You like something specific. And then you can you find more details and figure out what the details are. I just think people that get into this process get overwhelmed really quickly. And there's a lot of ways that they can get overwhelmed, and just finding a easy starting point, which is the dream, and figuring that out first is a great opportunity.
Yeah. So that's episode 86 to check that out and start your process of coming up with your backyard oasis.
Yep.
So step 2 is the part that most people don't think about, but is probably most critical in making everything work. And that's in episode 89. And it's called the site analysis.
Yeah.
Site analysis is key to every project working. Okay. So this is where projects fail because projects weren't analyzed properly on what's going to happen. And so there's several things you have to check in this process. And this is something that a true professional should be doing to help figure out your solution. But you can also do this information, and that way you know going in, if you don't have a true professional, that you don't get caught. So a couple of things I'll just tell you real quick. So I had a project a number of years ago, and they bought the piece of property because their last yard was too small and they didn't have enough room to put a diving pool in. So they wanted to put a diving pool in, and they bought this piece of property, a big backyard. So the first thing I ask them for is, I need a copy of your survey.
Yep.
And what did they send me?
Hopefully they send you the survey.
No, they didn't send me the survey. They sent me the plot plan.
Oh, no.
This is a very confusing thing. This is where crime starts, is at the very beginning, because I ask for one thing. And so what happens, this is the scenario that usually happens. You're buying a new home, and so you're buying it from a sales agent.
Yeah.
Some people, when I say that, don't understand what I'm talking about at all. So how would you put that in your words?
Well, if you think about, expanding your living space to the backyard, you need to understand what your backyard is. That means, elevations. That means heights, thresholds. That means utilities, easements, all that kind of stuff. Whatever creates your personalized canvas, so you can actually have someone design around that, and also have your dream develop around that more organically.
Yeah. So one of the things that all the projects that we do are totally unique.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons that they're all totally unique is this.
Yeah.
Because you could have the same client with 5 different houses, and you're going to end up with totally 5 different designs.
Yeah, this is where the customization comes into.
So creating something that, we have people that are like, I want this type of look. And it's like, well, that's a vanishing edge, and the water disappears over the back of the pool, and that works great, but your yard goes uphill.
Yeah.
So that's you're going to have to look at a different concept to make that work. Or
maybe flip the pool around.
yeah. So, I want a swim up bar. And again, the same challenges. We don't have a downhill area to put a sunken space. Well, everything goes up. So there's all kinds of custom things that, I want an amazing waterfall cascading down a hillside, and it's like, well, your yard goes down, so you're not going to see that waterfall from the house.
Yeah, elevations dictate a lot in the design, and also square footage does too, because a lot of these people have wants and needs, and they're different utilities. I want a sauna, I want a cold plunge, I want a pool, all these different things that might come into priority. I want a golf course, and you have to figure out the square footage and the flow as well to get around the space. So yeah, this is a huge step.
Yeah, everything from the style of your existing home to the trees on the property, to those are all elements that are going to come into play and create, your site. But we have to analyze everything. So we talk about how you would do that and the steps and processes to figuring out and where you might find documentation. So when you sit down with the designer, those things will be known. So, both of you don't get surprised through the process.
This is the first step. Like, you have the dream, and then you have analyzing the yard. This is the first step where you can have a lot of issues that can, show themselves later on the process, and you get huge surprises, and you're like, oh my God, what are we dealing with now?
Yeah. So if this is handled really well, the construction works really well.
Mm-hmm.
They dovetail together extremely well.
Oh yeah.
So step 3, we kind of had two episodes to cover step 3, because as I went through things, I messed up and labeled step 4 and step 5 wrong. So there's a step 3 in episode 94, which I call it step 3A, or, part 1, which is where we talk about all your areas. We got patio areas. We've got structures that go in there. We've got fire pits and fireplaces. It's all the spaces, that you're going to create. And some people, in their outdoor living process, this is as far as they're going to go. They're just trying to create, different living spaces in the backyard and different features to work around that. If we can have, some cover overhead and protect me when it rains, and I've got a great patio to sit on, and, then I've got, a nice fire pit to hang out at, we can be happy. Step 3 is going to cover entertainment, and in entertainment, you need a great outdoor living setting.
Yeah, it's probably one of the funnest steps, honestly, because everyone likes to entertain.
Yeah, and it applies to everybody, whether you have a pool or, you don't have a pool or, whatever you're going to do.
Entertaining your friends or family or maybe just your
spouse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it can be, which goes to the very first and probably most critical question that I ask people, which is, what is your average size gathering?
Yeah.
Anything in particular in this episode that, you thought was really cool?
I mean, we've covered like structures and everything like that. It's a huge, amazing thing that we deal with on the daily basis, and people have, unique names for all these different structures. But, yeah, I wouldn't say anything specific, honestly. I do think, like you're saying, some people will stop here, but a lot of people, when they're thinking about a structure, they're also thinking about outdoor cooking, which,
That's step B.
Yeah, that gets us in the next part 2.
Yeah,
step
so
B,
we get to the food, right?
Yep, exactly. The fun part.
So, the outdoor kitchen is a lot of people call it the hub of the outdoors. This is where everybody, goes to, hangs out. We want to either be there as a participant and enjoying the space with, the people that are there, or you want to be the one prepping everything for everybody to eat and enjoy. And we talked about, all different aspects of the kitchen and the breakdown of it. So is there a favorite thing that you like in the kitchen?
I've always been a sucker for just an island, a big kitchen island. I've said that multiple times on this podcast, I think. But I do think that the kitchen is one of the best parts about the outdoor space, because that's a lot of the time that's usually the most used space in general, because you get to cook out there. You get to maybe, wine and dine or smoke a cigar or whatever it might be and just hang out and, share a conversation with a family, maybe a loved one, whatever it might be. So that space gets a lot of usage.
Yeah. So there's a whole episode just on that particular space because there's a lot of detail that goes into it. We talk about all different types of components, everything from, smokers to grills to refrigerators to, do you want the kitchen sink?
Yeah.
And, whether you do or you don't, we give you some advice on that aspect. So, then in step 4 is episode 106. And I said a lot of people will stop at step 3, but a lot of people want to go to, 106, which is we want it to look nice.
Yeah.
It's not just about the function of the space. We want something that's going to either tie in with our architectural style of our home. So this is an extension of the living room inside. This is the outdoor living room, or the outdoor kitchen, or the outdoor sleeping area, or the outdoor, so it's just an extension. That's what some people want. But some people are like, please take me away. I don't want to be in North Texas anymore. So take me to Cabo, or take me to the Caribbean, or take me to Thailand, or take me to Alaska. Please take me somewhere else. And so you can create that space as well. What do you think is one of the most beautiful things in a backyard? Makes it look nice.
I just think it depends on the opportunity of the backyard itself. And I think the episode Look Nice was really good because there's a lot of different ways to try to achieve that depending on the customer. And there's a lot of different things that you can try to push the limits on. And a lot of people do, and you see it on social media. And some of that stuff, some of the materials that people are using outdoors just won't work in Texas in general. So like understanding what looks nice but is also practical is a huge thing, especially if you're not sure if your designer or whoever is helping you out throughout this process is maybe up to game or just at the top of the notch, because sometimes there's materials that will just crumble in certain locations.
Yeah, there's people all the time that are like, I want it to look exactly like this. And it's like, well, that was taken and probably somewhere in the Caribbean where it never freezes.
Yeah.
And so, when we come here to Texas, we have freezes some of the time. Or, you could go up to, Kansas where it freezes, a lot more, or, in different parts of the country, you're going to have to accommodate different things. But, we talk about the fire features, we talk about water features, we talk about cool lighting, and I think lighting is probably one of the things that's going to become the most popular or a bigger part of the outdoor living space in the upcoming year.
Mm-hmm.
Making the space look nice is what a lot of people are interested in doing. They want something beautiful because they're going to look at it 365 days out of the year.
Well, it's also what's interesting nowadays with AI, you see like AI videos and it will bend reality because it's not real. And for a long time, we would see like some pool studio stuff. It's like, that looks really pretty, but how are you going to build it? You know what I mean? And it looks nice, but is it really possible to build or engineer? There's stuff now with AI videos. It's like, water features or, flooring materials or whatever it might be that isn't realistic at all. And some people might not know that, unfortunately.
Right. Well, a good designer gets to bring that to reality.
Yep.
Or, we had someone, I won't go down that rabbit hole, but, sometimes you have to think out of the box to come up with some things to make it work. We have a project right now where we're doing a real thick coping material, which is great, but the overflow had to be changed. So we didn't get to a really challenged from the deck transition to the first step of the pool. So anyway, it's just, you come up with creative ways to solve problems and make it look nice.
So what's step 5?
Step 5, we get to the pool.
What episode was it?
That would be episode 108. And so the pool and water features that are accommodated with the pool, or pool features. So we talk in detail because to a lot of people, that's a big component of their outdoor living space. But, and sometimes it's something that's going to be done initially with all the other steps as well. And sometimes it's something that's phased, and, this could be something that's done at a later date if it's well planned out and thought through on how to do it. But, you want to think about all the things like, do we want a recreational pool or a diving pool, or, what shape do we want to look at, and, what finishes do we want to have on it? It's just there's countless things with the swimming pool that you can look at and consider.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how we kind of started this whole podcast, was trying to answer those questions.
100%. And I think there's a lot of people also that are out there willing to spend a lot of money to improve their backyard, and they've never owned a pool before. So that's a great episode as well. I will repeat what you just said. The elevation, the depth of the pool is a big one, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to be able to dive into the pool, but you don't understand that might eat up a lot of the square footage. So the actual, shallow end, where you're going to spend 80% of the time, 90% of the time, is going to be eaten up completely, because you have to have that transition. So yeah, that's a great episode.
So we go through pros and cons of all the different things you want to think about with a pool. And so you end up with the right vessel for your family fun.
Oh, yeah.
So that takes you through the process of the steps that we've come up with so you can create the best space for you. Now, along with that there's a lot of specialized products that we talked about in 2025 that can help you create the best space for you. And they go into greater detail with specific people that rep those products versus just the general talking that we did in the episodes. So should we start most recent, or
I'll go all the way to the bottom?
Start
74
at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
So fire is probably one of the favorites with a lot of people. We talked with Bob with Fire by Design about how he started his company and the products that they have. And one of the most hilarious things that we talked about all year that I think, and you got to check out the video, is when Bob talked about testing his fire features to begin with.
Yeah.
And which one did you like better that he did? Because
I thought the one on the highway was spectacular.
The one that he put the thing in the back of his truck.
Yeah, because the amount of like photo shoot, or not even photo shoots, just when I worked in the field, the amount of like fireballs I had to deal with, blowing out and stuff, like having a good burner that's not going to blow out from the wind is it's hard to find. So yeah, that was really cool to see.
So he didn't just drive around in town; he was driving down the freeway.
Yeah,
Anyway, and the other one, he took it through a car wash. So anyway, both of those
that
are
one's
cool.
probably more impressive, honestly.
So anyway, Bob talks about his product line. In fact, we did a really cool feature with it this year where we did fire that came up through water.
Yeah.
On one of our jobs. But Bob does a great time telling you about the whole thing and what he does in the process.
Yeah, and then there was episode 76, which was Splinter Works, which we got to meet one of the owners, and
Miles was great.
Yeah, it was an amazing podcast. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the studio because we were, at the show, but still, it was a lot of fun, and just understanding that product a little bit more. It is a niche product, but for the right customer, it's perfect because I'm obsessed with it. It's very beautiful. Can't afford it, unfortunately, but maybe one day. And also one day we could put it on a job because that thing is an art piece.
So for those that don't know what it is a stainless steel slides that they do.
I think the Undertaker has one.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
But Miles is in England and has designed, they have certain models, and these things are huge. They're like pieces of artwork sitting in the garden that actually then you can slide down and have fun. Mm-hmm. And he goes through how they cool those pieces. So it's, because initially I was like, that sounds good in England, but in North Texas, that's going to get way too hot. But
yeah, August during 110 degrees.
But they were smart. They figured that all out before they came out.
Yeah, it's internally cooled, which is really smart.
But awesome episode on, I don't know if you call it art or if you call it fun or if you call it what, but it covers a lot of different things.
It's a badass product.
We talked with Ronnie with Build-A-Monometry about patio covers, and not just your standard patio covers. He specializes in really big structures and also structures that are attached to the home, which is a unique situation and craft in itself, because when you're attaching something to the home is a little bit different than if it's standing out in the garden itself. You can get into a lot more structural problems because if it's attached to the house and it starts moving, it's going to tear your house up. Mm-hmm. And so Ronnie went through different products that he uses and different finishes and how they do all this structural stuff with engineering and, large spans that they do and everything. But he covers a lot of specialized structures in detail.
I believe he talked about, how to break down a wall and put up new beams and extend all that kind of stuff out. It was really cool to hear the detail from him.
Yeah. I mean, they do everything from, changing out the windows into doors and all the fun things like that. But
and that was episode 78.
Yes, sir. So in episode 80, we talked with Rosa and Jamie Pittman about pool ends. And this is probably the most cutting edge product that we talked about this year, and the fact that it was just brought to the United States. So it's a product that came out of Spain, and it is a different type of swimming pool. So
yeah, it's more friendly to entry of the market. For like people that are just having the first home and trying to have a pool, maybe a spa, because I believe it works with the heater as well, or a cold plunge or something like that. But the material itself is really nice, really sturdy, and it reminds me of the ledge lounger material a little bit, the resin, and it's also flexible, so you can have it in ground or out of ground. So you can have an out of ground pool that's kind of like a hot tub you would think out of ground, but a pool right next to it, or in ground pool.
Yeah, so they've got two different models, but it's a really, as Trey mentioned, it brings the price point, because I think a lot of pools today, are starting up in $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, depending on the part of the country you're at and how things are having to be structurally built. And a lot of people that are buying their first home, they can't afford something like that. But, if you can get into a product for $30,000, or $40,000 and you can swim in your backyard, then, this is something that would really help a lot of people.
Well, it's sleek too. So it's not like a typical out of ground pool. You know what I mean?
It doesn't look like a above ground doughboy.
No, it's not the pool from Sandlot.
Yeah.
It looks good. It looks really modern.
So it's a real clean approach, and you just ought to check it out. We have YouTube videos of it as well. In fact, most of the podcasts we do have on YouTube, so you can check those out. Now we are lagging behind.
We're about 30 episodes behind right now, but we're gonna try to crank them out here and catch up in about 30 weeks.
So, but that's something that you may want to just look at the visuals as well. It really helps things out.
Yeah, one of the cool things about pool-ins, real quick, before we move off the subject, is the way they add the lounging spaces too. So you can put the couches up right next to the pool-in. Outstanding design. So
yeah, so it seems like more of a piece of furniture.
Yes.
In your space than it does, a typical above ground pool. And like Trey said, they have an in-ground model as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all this is possible. In episode 81, we talked to Joe of Lions Financial.
Yep.
And for a lot of people, this is how you make your backyard oasis pop.
This is how you make your outdoor oasis popular?
Not popular.
Or not popular.
Possible.
Possible, yeah, there you go.
I can't talk today.
Yeah, I was thinking the wrong word. I don't know.
So the possibilities are endless of what you can do. And the thing is, do you have the funds to do it? And Joe talks about how you can be creative in doing that and coming up with the funds and, some solutions that most people don't think of. So he's a great resource to bounce things off of. It just takes a phone call, and Joe talks about all the different ways that you can go through. He talks about how they work with veterans and, provide a better product for those that have served in the military. And anyway, great resource for people, especially if you're getting started and trying to make your money go as far as possible.
Yeah, I love Joe. He's awesome. Every time I talk to him, he's in good spirits. It's also really cool because it's always good to understand financing a little bit better, but this is specific to the actual industry. It's specific to the outdoor living industry. So it's really nice wealth of knowledge in that episode.
Yeah, Joe was a pool contractor at one time, so he understands all the things that you have to do in the outdoor living process in getting the financing for it. Now, probably our most famous guest this year was Pete Nelson on episode 82 of Nelson's Tree Houses.
Yeah.
So he was a blast to talk to. And he is on the TV show, The Treehouse Master, and it's just a wealth of knowledge on the craft that he does above the ground, and the spaces that they created. It's every kid's dream. At least it was my dream as a kid growing up.
Oh, it's everybody. Kids. Most kids have the dream of having an awesome tree house.
Yeah.
At least my generation still has that dream, still alive. So
yeah. So
they did.
And he creates some tree houses that are more expensive than my home that I live in.
Yeah.
And he creates tree house villages, and he creates tree house hotels, and he's done these things all over the country now. Some actually around the world. And he shared his adventures and knowledge and the processes of everything that he's going through. And the company is booming and still doing a whole lot. And anyway, I thought it was hilarious because we are the same exact age and grew up within miles of each other and both built our same a tree house at the same time. But he kind of made a career out of it, and I forked off into the landscaping.
Different passions.
Yes. Well, we both enjoyed our tree houses as kids.
Similar passions, but
yeah,
branched off differently. The cool thing about the tree house is if you really want to bump up that square footage on your property, well, maybe you want a tree house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows? It's not tree houses aren't the ones with like these little dinky ladders that are going up that you have to strain yourself to get up on. They got stairs and they got TVs and Shaq's got one. It's really cool. They're very, very luxurious and high end.
Yes, Shaq they had to do the largest custom door that they'd ever installed for Shaq's treehouse.
And they sell their own parts. So if you don't even want to have it like super high end and you want to keep that budget down, and maybe you want to build your kid a really cool treehouse, they sell the parts. You can do it yourself.
DIY.
Mm-hmm.
So another expert in her field, we talked with Janet Moyer about outdoor lighting, and she is a industry leader. She actually created a whole organization for professionals in the outdoor lighting industry.
Yeah.
There's an award that's given every year in their industry called the Janet Moyer Award. So, I mean, she is a pioneer in what they're doing in outdoor lighting and still practicing today in Arizona with her company. But she gave us a lot of great insight on how to create a space that gets enjoyed not just in the daytime, but all night long.
Yeah, I think that episode was really enlightening because obviously the lighting industry has boomed in our industry, especially like with modern rope lighting and stuff like that. But she's more contemporary and traditional, and it's really awesome to understand her perspective. Because like the rope lighting does seem to be like a trend that will probably fade in the next couple of years in specific area, like from modern design. But it was a really good episode in understanding how to play with your custom, lot and how to create this new environment that you could enjoy, 24 hours a day because of, the lighting at night.
How to hide the bad stuff and highlight the good stuff.
Oh, that's more the artsy. Yeah, artsy stuff. She gets deep into it.
Yeah, and just all different types of lighting with features and everything, which is kind of 180 degrees from the next one, which we talked about illuminated trees.
Yep.
We talked with Brandon on episode 92. Since we're talking about illuminated trees with Brandon, we actually had him on the show, and it took me years to find him because I saw this product occasionally, and it was really cool. And then we showed up at the International Pool Show.
He was there.
And he was there for the first year.
Had all his trees out there. It was really cool to see in person.
Yeah, spectacular. I mean, even more impressive to see all of it up close and how they create these resin trunks and that are so realistic. But I mean, these things, if you want a focal point at night, this is not going to fit in with Janet's style.
I think she could work around it. I think because it's a vocal point by itself, and I think she knows how to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
it's not like you have to have string lights everywhere with these trees. They can fit in anywhere, I think.
Yeah, and you don't have to have all the different colors and stuff like that. You can.
And they have so many different selections and different types of leaves and trees and colors, and it's just it's so customizable.
It's amazing too because they do stuff all over the country. So at first I was like, this isn't going to work in certain parts of the country, and they've got them all over the place.
Yeah.
But and they have them in really big, locations. But in Vegas, they're inside, countless actually hotels in Vegas. That's if you start looking at lighted trees inside the architecture, they're the guys that have made all that happen. But really cool stuff.
And illuminated trees was episode 92, but we skipped over 85, which was about pool covers.
Yeah, we talked with Ben Odeski, and Ben came in and actually walked us through all the safety issues that can be overcome by having an automatic cover, and where you can put covers. And it's not just, on a brand new rectangular pool. There are different things that you can do for different spaces, but he went through all the things that you could do and, how to create a great space for your family that's going to be safe, but also beautiful as well.
Yeah.
Talking about something that's beautiful. In episode 93, we had the pond guy, Greg Whitstock. And Greg, it was interesting because he grew up in the same area that in New Jersey, where I was raised, as Pete Nelson. And he got all started because he had some turtles in a pond and he wanted to create a great space for his turtles. But he's developed a huge company and he's the supplier for countless builders all over the world that create outdoor ponds. And he talked through the process of how they came about. And, they've got some really cool stuff. If nothing else, you need to check out the cenote that they did in Africa, which is mind blowing just from a conceptual standpoint. But what they built there was just, I mean, you would think it looked like a thing of nature, but it was totally constructed.
Yeah.
So anything in particular that you liked about, Greg's product?
Yeah, no, I loved getting to understand his product and know it better. I think that ponds are very interesting because before that podcast, I didn't realize you could have you could build a swimmable pond, kind of like to use it like a pool, but had the aesthetic of a pond, which I think is really, really cool. It's taking like that free form pool kind of vibe that some people still like. It's kind of faded with popular, not being as popular anymore, but it takes that to a whole nother level, and it really makes it feel like, if you build one of those in your backyard, that it's been there forever, which I think is what we try to do all the time. We try to, do that with the backyard and make it seamlessly transition from the house and feel like that the outdoor space was built with the home at the same time. So yeah, it was an awesome episode.
It's really interesting. He tours around for about 4 months out of the year all over the world, visiting the projects that are finished and taking pictures of them.
Yeah, I would too if I was him.
Yeah, if you want to check out his pond tours, they're really fun. But episode 96, we talked with Sebastian and Tim of Vista Folia, which was a whole nother level of creativity that you can create. With a product, you can create, these different feels. We talk about bringing the indoor environment, bringing the outdoor environment inside the home. And so a lot of people are trying to use inside the home natural elements. But the other thing is some of those products that were brought into the home really work well outside as well.
Yeah. And
Vista Folia is synthetic plants that you can use on a wall to create a green wall effect. Mm-hmm. And so in a lot of small spaces that we work in, this is something that you can use to create something that's going to look good all the time in a very small space, and therefore give the illusion of a lush garden that you're looking at. Now, living walls are extremely high maintenance and a lot of work. But with a Vista Folia wall, basically once you get it up, it's going to look spectacular all the time.
Yeah, I see this stuff all the time nowadays. Ever since I went on that, we had that podcast episode, I see it all the time when I'm going to like a nice restaurant or something like that. There's that material again. And I think it's a really great opportunity. We've talked about a lot of these products, and some of them are niche. But this one you could definitely apply to your backyard no matter what the design is, because it's a great way just to add layering and, like you said, just to green up the space, I guess you could put into words.
Episode 97, we talked with Jandy Floridra. We talked with Kim and Brian. Kim is all about the sales and Brian's about how everything's built, so it was great. And they talked about everything from their new lighting system to robotics and also automation. Talked about lighting and robotics and automation and all the cool things that they're doing as a company in there.
Yeah, the robotics is wild because like we've come so far where the robotic cleaners themselves are getting so efficient. And back in the day, it was like those are kind of just a gimmick. But now the technology is kind of there. And so for a lot of people that might, for like remodels or just want like extra cleaning, it's a great option.
Yeah. And the cool thing is they came out with their new lighting, which is the cool thing about it is the color spectrum is endless.
Yeah.
You know, they basically have a color wheel so you can pick your colors and all different shades of hues and of the color that you want. And you can do color in different spaces like the spa or the bubblers or the laminar jets or the pool can all be programmed differently. So really cool aspects in that and the technology advances what you can do in a pool.
Oh yeah, with the color. I mean, your custom pool can be the customization is just getting so much, like it's getting way better and better over time.
So in 102, I'm going to skip 101 because we're going to put that in a different category. 102, we talked about with Scott about sports courts. And this has really changed dramatically of what people are doing in their backyards. It used to be it was a tennis court or it was, nothing else. And then people started doing some basketball courts, but, now we got pickleball courts going in and we got all these different courts. And, we talked about lighting for the spaces and what are good size spaces if you're going to combine some different things. But, what's your favorite part?
I love basketball, but understanding how like the different lighting setups works, and just having like a realistic expectation as a customer going into the process of understanding, hey, I need to see if like the HOA will let me have 10-foot lighting for this type of court. Or, okay, I have this piece of square footage. What can I fit in here to be versatile for maybe putting chairs and tables on later on, but, predominantly use it for some kind of activity for my kids. From a design standpoint, it's a very good episode.
So when you got finished playing in the backyard and you're hot, you need a great structure to sit under. And so in episode 104, we talked about with George, the adjustable patio covers and how that the louvers can move in these structures that they do and provide you any type of environment.
Yeah, that was Apollo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good episode as well. Understanding the quality of the material versus, other materials that's out there. Because with the structure like that, you don't want to cheap out and, buy something that might be not too structurally sound.
So in 113, we talked with Matt of Pebble Tech, and Pebble Tech is a lot of different things, but they're most well known for all their different pool finishes, which Pebble Tech is one of like 6 different finishes that they do. Most people don't understand that. In fact, today I hardly ever use Pebble Tech. The most of my clients, we use Pebble Sheen. But he went into all the other different products that they use and the pros and the cons of those, the different systems that they install and how they're going to hold up and, what's going to work best for your particular pool that you're looking for. But they also covered some of the other products that they do. They have light streams.
Yeah, we covered that briefly.
Yeah, very briefly. We talked about the tile. We talked about their fire and bowls that they do. And we talked about several of the other product lines that they carry as well. But really cool, especially if you're looking at a pool and you're looking at remodeling, what finish you might want to use inside of it and know what your options are to come up with what's going to be best.
So that was pretty much the products that we covered in 2025. So let's talk about the what we, our bread and butter, the design portion of the podcast we covered in 2025.
Well, in 2025, we started the year with trends for 2025.
Yeah, we did.
So it'll be interesting to see how those trends change in 2026. But, the outdoor lighting aspect is one of the big ones, but, goes into how we're going to use the outdoor space more. And one of the things, just a preview that I saw an article not too long ago, and it says that the outdoor living space is year round now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that's just a seasonal type situation.
Yeah.
But that's how we started the year. In episode 67, we started talking about luxury outdoor living. We changed the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
Because what we were looking at is how we can be more than just, pools.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to talk about a lot more things. And I'm really interested. This is something you can comment on social media or send us a message on what more things that we need to cover in the outdoor living environment. We've branched out some, and we're planning on branching out more. Like, one of our next episodes is on greenhouses.
Yeah.
So, it's not just about, pools by any means, but, and also just we're looking at really nice things that you can do outside
Mm-hmm.
and trying to expand the knowledge that's available there in that aspect. So that was kind of the change of our focus. And so we talked about our goals and why we were changing the name of the podcast.
Yeah, and then episode 70, we did Oasis in small spaces, which it's a big topic for this year.
Yeah, so spaces are getting smaller and smaller in a lot of places. And in fact, the International Design Awards came out with a new category, which was designing in a small space.
Yep.
And we were honored by getting the first gold medal in that category.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people are like, y'all just do crazy things. Well, no, we like to do well-designed things. And so sometimes people are like, we understand we're not going to be your big, massive project, but we want something that's really cool. And in fact, to me, the ultimate design challenge is a small space
Mm-hmm.
because every single inch is important into it. And so how you go about creating solutions and overcoming challenges and city codes, which is a big one, and trying to come up with the solutions that you do, that's a lot of fun to me.
Just how efficient you can be with all the square footage.
So Eric Herman came on episode 83, and he talked about the evolution of the backyard.
Yep.
Now, this is an interesting thing, and just if you are interested in how things came into being, and we went back some in time. Me and Eric have worked together for decades now, and so he's the editor of Water Shapes magazine. So he gets to talk to all the fun and cool things that people are doing, and he's visited a lot of things, and he's done a lot of history, and we just talked about how spaces have evolved and how they continue to evolve and what we are looking at in the future. And the outdoor living space is becoming a lot bigger industry because people want to live there.
Yeah, that was a good episode because understanding the history of anything, whether that be clothing or cars or the outdoor living, understanding the history and how things have progressed over time, it helps you be guided when you're trying to figure out what's next, what's coming. And I think that's an important thing to understand as a designer or even a customer.
Well, and it's interesting too, just to see how things have changed really radically. And 20 years doesn't seem like, it seems like a long time to a lot of people.
I mean, 5 years.
But even 5 years,
Yeah.
things have changed dramatically since COVID, came about. The industry has radically changed.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, part of that, in episode 91, we talked with Susan Simmelman of Susan Simmelman Interiors about how the influence of interior design is going into the outdoor space.
Oh, yeah.
And how this is a seamless transition that a lot of people are trying to achieve. And this is just the outdoor room and how you handle it and some of the things that you can and can't do as you transition from inside to outside. A lot of times people are like, well, I used it inside, we'll just take it outside. And that's not a simple thing. And so the selections of things, if you want to do that, is you want to make sure that you can handle it. And this is something that's radically different in different parts of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Which we've touched on already. But Susan just, gives us a great insight on how to continue the well-designed space inside to the outside. Or maybe the well-designed space outside to the inside. So
anyway. Either way, vice versa. Was it the chicken or the egg that came first? I don't know. But understanding her journey was really cool too.
Yes, she's been on a fantastic journey and is doing really well. In episode 95, we got into what a lot of people want to talk about. They want to talk about in their outdoor living space, they want a bathroom.
Yep.
and they want a shower, and they want an outdoor bath is even becoming popular today. And so how do we go about creating those amazing spaces?
Yeah, the bath one is interesting because it gets real tricky because it can get really pricey really quick.
Yeah.
And some people are like, ooh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, I want to have an ice maker. I want to have a bathroom. I want to have a shower. I want to have they want all these different things. And just because it's outside can add a huge element to the paycheck.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about the pros and cons and the costs, and you can figure out, how you want to transition your space to create the best space for you.
And there's an efficient way to do it. That's for sure.
So in episode 99, we talked about the development of a swimming pool and an outdoor living space in conjunction with existing trees.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people buy their property because of the amazing outdoor space that they have. And a lot of times it has to do with the trees that are in the space. And so what can we do to make sure that those trees aren't all gone when you finished your outdoor living space? And this has a lot to do with when we first started, and we were talking in step 2 about the site analysis. And, the things that we go into, and Trey, you're integral in this because you do most of our site analysis.
Yeah.
What are some things that we should think about? We'll go into detail that you look at when you're doing that.
The tree all the trees are a big part of it. Like, most of the time there's specific sacred trees that we need to make sure that we have dialed in, and we can figure out the rest as well. But some of those are going to get cut down either way. And it's a great opportunity for you to understand, okay, I want to figure out what trees I want to keep and which trees I don't mind getting cut down, because if you're creating a pool, typically you're going to have to cut down 1 or 2 or a lot more depending on the job. But still, it's a good episode to understand the process of that. And also there's awesome iconic pools that people base the design around a tree. You've done this multiple times, and adding curves and stuff like that, and it adds a very unique taste. And I mean, we talked about look nice. That step, that's a great style that people really don't think about, but it's taking what you already have and using it to your advantage.
Yeah, we just got to make sure we get the right elevations and the right locations, and we can work around those guys.
Oh yeah.
So at episode 103, we talked about the grandparents, and the grandparents creating an outdoor living space to have the family there, especially the grandkids, that they're trying to draw to the space, and some of the things that they may want to think about when they're creating that space, and everything from safety to features that are fun to creating a space that works with multiple generations.
Yeah, it's huge. Multiple generations is a big one, because our customers are never like just one particular type of person. They range all over the place. And I mean, if you think about a homeowner that's, a first time, second time buyer, relatively young, their habits and their hobbies are going to be a lot different than someone that's maybe a grandparent or a great grandparent, whatever it might be. And understanding that lifestyle and how to cater to customize your experience as much as possible to you is a huge thing. And I would take advantage of that episode if it applies to you.
So episode 105, we talked about the stuff that goes on the edges of a lot of projects. We're going to build fences. We're going to put up walls. We're going to put up screens, and the things that you want to think about in creating, the edges of your space, to come up with the best solution for you. Episode 107, we said, a lot of times we're talking about the big, the massive, the crazy. And what happens when someone buys their first home? We want to do an outdoor living starter pack is what we called it. This is what you need to do to start in your bare bones backyard.
Yeah. That episode tied in pretty well to the class that we did eventually, because we started out that class with kind of the starter pack and evolved into more of some of these wild stuff. But Yeah, it's a good one. There's a lot of people like me that are going to be a first time home buyer and they're going to want to customize their home as much as possible. I mean, pool ins and stuff like that, understanding these different products and understanding these different design concepts is key to maximize the results that you're wanting.
Yeah, but sometimes we talked about, hey, here's a simple fire feature, and here's a simple patio, and here's a simple way to create shade, and here's a simple way to have a kitchen. So there are simple things that you can do to have a great space without spending tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, you can. Some houses people buy, they don't even come with grass in the back. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways to improve the living space you have already. And that episode goes through a lot of different ways you could do that.
So in episode 110, we talked about let's have fun in the backyard space and all the crazy things that you could do back there to have fun. And there's lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's everything from lazy rivers to climbing walls to, different sports courts to, we talked about all the different fun things that you could do in the outdoor space that can create a fun environment.
Oh yeah, I think we'll go back to the generational thing. There's a lot of people that are going to have, key moments, memories from their childhood that they'll live on forever in their life and will influence how they perceive pools or water just from those experiences. So as a parent, being able to strategically position what you want your kid to do. If you want them to enjoy something that's a little bit more safe, but fun, there's a lot of different ways you can do that.
So in episode 112, we talked about the backyard transformation from beginning where you walk in and you buy a piece of property and the backyard is anything but what you want. And so we go in and we take existing pools and patios and landscaping and blow it up to a great transformation to create exactly what you want, and how to go through that process at the beginning to go to the end and create, your one-of-a-kind situation.
Was that the blow it up and start over?
That's blowing up and starting over.
That's a big episode because you do that quite a bit, and probably more than most people. And it's great opportunity to just clean the slate, clean the canvas that we were talking about earlier in the episode, and start over. And I love that episode. I love talking about that kind of concept because it's so freeing. Just to have like if you're in that dream stage. And you're like, well, what if I just demo everything? It's just, there's so many more possibilities versus with, okay, I need to work with the pool I have, or maybe I need to work with this retaining wall that goes here that's in the middle of where I want to put this thing. So it's an awesome episode.
Well, and a lot of times we're doing it because what there doesn't meet your needs. It doesn't meet your style, it doesn't meet your functions. It's in the wrong location. We go through all the reasons you may want to consider this, and then go through different solutions to do that. And so that kind of ends our design section that we were talking about, concepts and everything. Now, one thing that's gotten more and more popular in recent, and we talked about this in trends this last year, is the concept of wellness in the backyard.
Yeah.
And what all does that entail? And we brought in some specific people that are experts in this and a few things to look at. But at first, we talked with Dave Peterson in episode 71, and we came in and talked with him about he's there in Southern California and has done a lot of projects incorporating things, but also he's worked with the author of The Blue Mind. And they actually did a series together on wellness in the outdoor living space. And so that was one of the reasons that we brought Dave in to talk specifically about that. On the same lines, we talked with Paul Bouffard in episode 75, and talking with him, he's an architect. And so he talked about how the transition from the architecture to the outdoor living space, and he does a lot of pool bath houses, ramadas, cabanas, those type of spaces that, we're wanting to add another home into the space into the backyard. So that's something that he's incorporated a lot of outdoor living spaces as well.
Yeah, those episodes were awesome. I do love the Dave one specifically, because going to a resort and understanding of how could I incorporate some of these features or routines into my day-to-day lifestyle is a great mindset to have when you're going through the dream phase and understanding what's possible. And then also with Paul, it was really cool to understand just the overall pool house element, understanding, like you're saying, adding a building in the backyard, but having it being its unique space and why you go to that space and how do you make that space look good and all that kind of stuff.
So in episode 79, we took a particular feature of the wellness and we talked with Mark of the World Sauna Group. And he was great to talk with, hilarious to talk with, and about the history, because his family, he's Finnish. Anyway, we took Mark and his history and his family's history, and he talked about it and how it's been involved in sauna here in the United States, and talked about all the advances. And we actually saw him again at the International Pool Show as well. But really great episode on some of the things that, you and a lot of times this is not something people think that they can incorporate in their backyard, but how that can very easily be done.
Oh, it easily can be done. Nowadays, there's so many different products on the market, and there's a lot of ways to, if you understand how to have a proper sauna, you can understand how to maybe get that the budget a little bit lower too. There's so many different things about the sauna that I love. I use the sauna on a daily basis, and this is one of my favorite episodes. I go back and listen to it often. There's a lot of nuggets of great information in there. I love to talk to him again about a lot of specific things I have questions on. But
yeah, like where's your sauna hat?
Yeah. Where's the? I almost bought one on Amazon the other day. I was like, nah, I don't need one. But it is a great episode and a great resource, especially for health and wellness specifically. I suggest everyone use a sauna. So
well, it actually went into the report that was done by the university in Finland, and how it's so much significant health benefit for those that have dementia and Alzheimer's associated with the sauna use on a regular basis. I think it was just 4 times a week.
4 times a week for 15 minutes.
Yeah, see.
Like 185 degrees or something like that. 175, I can't remember. But yeah, it has, and it's not just dementia. There's a lot of different like heart attacks, and there's a huge overhead of different things that it reduces the risks for like health issues. But also there's other elements like, we talked about briefly in the episode about how, like, if you spray the rocks, it helps like make the sauna more soothing versus like if you just crank it up as high as possible with just hot heat. We talked about, steam showers as well. We talked about a lot of different aspects that kind of tie into the sauna or relate to it in a way.
So in episode 111, we talked with Dr. Denise, and she actually talked a lot about mental wellness and how that we can create a space that really helps with that aspect. And, the use of water, especially current, to help in those capacities.
Yeah, that was a really interesting episode. It was really cool to hear her perspective on how water helps with mental health and how she's using that in her process with her clients and stuff like that. So it was very, very intriguing.
One of the things we wanted to talk about in detail as well is how do you build stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And so we had several people that came on and help with that process. But one of the things that's recently come about that a lot of people don't understand is in episode 98, we talked about ASR.
Yep.
And what is concrete cancer is the common name for it, and how it works, and is it something that you need to be aware about in all places in the United States, or is it just isolated situations, and how it came into being and how you deal with it when you get it?
Yeah, we could delve into the chemistry of it, the fly ash situation. I mean, if you're from Austin and you're hearing this, you probably know all about this already. But still, it happens in a lot of other places. I think there's a case that's happened in the DFW. But it's a good thing to understand, especially like if you're buying a pool, understanding what's covered, what's insured, all that kind of stuff by the builder or the contractor, whoever it might be you're dealing with.
Yeah. So in episode 101, we actually talked about piers and why you want piers and what type of piers are you going to do and the pros and cons of that construction process.
Yeah, we talked about piers, and that was a good one too, because I think from a homeowner's perspective, understanding the construction process, you're spending a lot of money on something you probably don't know much about, and you just going off of someone said, oh, this guy's great, he built my pool, or they have good reviews on Google, whatever it might be, whatever the reason is you're pulling the trigger with that person. It is good to educate yourself and understand the process, especially construction, and piers are one of the most foundational points depending on your soil. If you need a pier, this is probably the episode you need to listen to first, just to understand how they work, when you need them, what type of pier you want, so you make sure that you're getting a quality pier, just a quality foundation for a huge purchase that you're going to be making.
So along with the foundational process is something that's used a lot in North Texas. We talked with Tim about soil injection and why that is a viable situation here, and is it a viable solution for other parts of the country, and how that works, and stabilizing clay soils.
Yes.
So clay soils are a big deal in a lot of parts of the country. They create a lot of challenges because from wet to dry, clay creates a lot of movement, and movement with structures creates problems. And so this is a solution that is available and has been done in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for about 25 years. I can tell you because I was here when they first started doing it, and it was not received well by engineers, and today it's embraced by engineers in this area. Now, it may not be something that is applicable or done much in your area, but it's a great resource to consider if you have clay soils.
Yeah, no, it's a great opportunity. And it's also a cool thing, too, because we talk about usually, new design, new build, and stuff like that, new construction, but you can use this to, settle maybe an issue that you're having with your deck. Instead of like ripping out and then doing a mud set situation, you could just, keep what you have and inject it or around the pool. It's a very interesting piece of technology that's evolving and getting more attention. And it'll be interesting to see how people use soil injection in the future.
So one of the things we wanted to do was talk to people in different parts of the country, because in different parts of the country, you have different solutions. You have different needs. Things are constructed differently. And so we continued our process this year in talking to a number of designers. And actually at the beginning of the year, we brought back a couple of the designers that were really popular from the year before. In episode 68, we had Kurt Bianchi of Bianchi Designs talking about the work that he does most prevalently there in the Arizona marketplace. And Kurt is a very unique designer. As a side note, at the International Pool Show, Kurt was the winner of the $1 Million Pool Challenge this year. So
what's that challenge?
It's a design competition where everybody has the same site, the same client requests, and they all come up with their individual solutions, and they present that to a panel. The top 5 finishers get sent to the International Pool Show, where the class then votes on the finalists. So Kurt was the winner of that. But he does a spectacular design style, which is rather unique to the Arizona market. It's a unique style in itself. So anyway, but he goes through his whole design philosophy, which his design philosophy is adaptable to any particular location or style for that matter.
Yeah, his style is intriguing. It's very efficient. And it was really cool to see at the show.
Yeah. He actually is an instructor with Genesis and teaches their master level design classes, which is interesting because Jason Brownlee, in episode 69 of Jay Brownlee Design Group, is the Water Shapes design instructor. And he actually works there in Nashville, Tennessee, but he's one of the designers that I know that travels internationally. In fact, I've referred him to a project that he got to go over to in Spain. But Jason works all over the place, and he has a fairly good sized design company there, and going through his philosophy from becoming a pool builder to a specifically design only firm now, and does some amazing work.
Oh yeah. I love his stuff.
So in episode 72, we had John Lee on of Deck South, which is out of Atlanta, Georgia. And they started as a deck company, and that's what we had them on for, was to specifically talk about decks. But they've become much more than just a deck company. They're an outdoor living company. And he talked about how they've evolved in doing that. But he gave us a lot of great information on decks, but also talked about retaining walls and swimming pools and, all kinds of features that go into the outdoor living space. And I used to say I dealt with a lot of elevation change. And the elevation change that they deal with.
Oh, it's wild.
None of their projects are flat by any means. Almost every single project that they have, the front door, you walk out the front of the house and you walk out and you're on the second floor in the back of the house. Mm-hmm. So almost every project, he said, we deal with on an average of about a 30-foot elevation change, which is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
But amazing how that they go about dealing with all that elevation change. Now, in episode 73, we talked with John Kenyon of Gibb Sand Pools, and he's in a totally different part of the country. He's in Canada. So talking about all the extremes that they have to do from a freeze-thaw standpoint and how they actually build year-round, and people keep pools open year-round, and just all the crazy things. But, the one thing that I thought was wild is they had to have people come in to inspect a site to make sure that there weren't any artifacts on the property.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that part. Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, it's just all the different things you have to do in different parts of the country, and how they have to deal with the trees, with the codes and all those type of things. Really great insight.
Oh, it was really cool, especially with the like you said, with the freeze situation, understanding that how their plumbing is insulated and all that kind of different stuff, and what's popular, what people buy a lot over there versus like here. A lot of people like covers for heat and stuff like that. There's a lot of different aspects when you bring in the temperature swing. So, yeah.
So in episode 84, we talked with Jesse of Calamingo Pools. Mm-hmm. Again, totally different part of the country. He's there in where is it?
He's in California.
Yeah, so Jesse is Orange County, California. His story is amazing of how he got into the business. But also, it's interesting because he didn't come from the pool business at all. He came from an art background, and how he took that and incorporated it into his business. And the things he's designed, which are totally out of the box. Yeah. Because he came from a totally different perspective, and he wasn't limited by, that's not what pool people do. He was doing total outdoor living environments, not just swimming pools. I mean, the concept of a sunken fire pit, he was doing those 25 years ago.
Yeah, with pitch seating too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all the little cool details. I mean, the wildest thing he had this structure that was totally supported by these iron columns, which fire came up through the middle of these columns that are supporting the structure. Yeah. So anyway, he's an artist, and all the things that he does, and really cool stuff. And then the last one that we had on was Johnny Napola, in episode 87 of Smart Aquatics. He grew up in the service background and, again, through architecture and art, got involved in the pool industry. And he's developing an amazing design company there in Miami, Florida, and doing some really, really cool stuff all over the Caribbean and in Florida. Episode 88, the last one of the designer series, is we talked with Chuck of Creative Environments and how he's been doing this. He's second generation designer. His son's taking over the company, the third generation. And he talked about the design process going through the 70s and 80s and 90s and into the 2000s, and just how his company's evolved and all the stuff that they've done from a cutting edge standpoint, the creativity that's involved with his product. So again, with all the designers, we look at different parts of the country to come up with different solutions. And I'd really be interested if there's a particular part of the country that you think we should address that we haven't touched base with yet.
Yeah. And also I think with the designer portion of it, it's really nice for a customer or homeowner to understand like the different designers in general, because when you're buying a pool and buying outdoor living space and you're having designed and then constructed, it's a long process, and understanding that relationship with the designer, and understanding if you could work with this person for 6 to a year to maybe 2 years or 3 years, depending on like the projects we're doing. It's a big commitment, and being able to be like, okay, this is the guy. Because there's a lot of different things you have to weigh in the process, whether that be, products or design or construction or the actual designer itself, and the price as well, obviously.
Yeah. We've tried to provide this year different aspects. And again, we changed the name to Luxury Outdoor Living Podcast because we're going to try to branch into more different rabbit holes that we can go down and chase different cool things and features.
It's a bigger umbrella. I mean, we do pools, we do outdoor livings, we do a lot of different stuff, a lot of crazy stuff too. So yeah, it's a bigger umbrella.
And so we want to look at different products that we've got slated to come up. We've got different designers that are going to be coming on. We're going to talk about design processes and things to consider, but hopefully this gives you a great idea of where you may want to go as you explore your projects. We've got, a wealth of knowledge of other things that we covered last year that you may want to check out as well. But we thank you for being on here. So this episode should be dropping right before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everybody and you and your family. And hopefully you can create a great space where you and your family can enjoy it. We'll be taking off between Christmas and New Year's like most people are. So we're not going to drop an episode right then because most of you will be on vacation. And you probably... Well, maybe some people would listen to us on vacation. But.
Yeah. If you are, there's other episodes I'm sure you've missed, or stuff on Instagram and stuff like that. And if you want to reach out to us, if there's any, like you said, you had a couple questions for the audience earlier. You can, if you want to reply directly to us, Farley Pool Design on Instagram is the easiest way to do it. You can comment on our latest post or whatever it might be, the DMs. But yeah, I hope y'all have a great year. And this also, like this episode, hopefully it was good fuel to spark, inspiration for something and trigger you to go listen to that episode or go down that rabbit hole and understand that whatever the subject is, because we covered a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, well, and we'll be starting with the new trends in 2026.
Oh yeah, it's going to be interesting to go back and listen to the old trends for me, and then understand like, okay, that's interesting. I wonder if this played out the way that I thought it would. And then understand there's a lot of new stuff on the horizon right now. It's crazy.
So we'll look forward to seeing you in the new year, and we'll take care. We'll talk to y'all later.
Have a good Christmas.
Bye.
Bye-bye.